Здравейте, банда, гледате SportCast, аз съм Деян и както ви обещах по-рано тази седмица, безспорно един много специален епизод. Както винаги започвам този път много накратко, за да спестим малко от времето, което и без това е кът на нашия специален гост. Но много набързо да ви благодаря за подкрепата, за това, че следвате каналите ни в YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, навсякъде, както обикновено може да ни намерите. Да ви благодаря за тази обратна връзка и да ви кажа, че спазваме едно обещание, именно, че тази седмица ще ви срещнем с една истинска спортна легенда. Защо обаче се стигна до там да успеем да се добрем до един многократен шампион в K-1 световните серии на Гран При, една истинска легенда на своя спорт в България, защото той отново е тук. Шегувахме се тук извън кадър за това, че не може да си пребори посещенията до България и конкретно до Варна. Става въпрос за Ернесто Хуст, който ще бъде тук заради ивент голям в бойните спортове. Всички, които обичате бойните спортове, всички, които обичате кикбокса и изобщо това, което се случва в веригата големи гала вечери SENSHI, със сигурност ще ви бъде интересно. Тези от вас, които пък не са толкова близо до бойните спортове, ще имат интерес, сигурен съм, да опознаят една световна звезда, която пристига не за първи път в България. Този път в качеството си както на инструктор за един много сериозен камп, който продължава няколко дни тази седмица, до края на седмицата, мисля, че до неделя, с около 400 бойци от 18 различни държави, така и за гала вечер номер 25, забележете, от веригата SENSHI. Това е повода да можем да кажем добре дошъл на Ернесто Хуст тук в София и в студиото на SportCast. Голяма привилегия и от тук нататък знаете как действаме с чуждестранни гости. Минавам изцяло на английски. Welcome, and it's a privilege for us to have you on the podcast, Ernesto. How are you feeling? How was the flight?
Yeah, it was good. It's not so long. When I have to go to Japan or to Australia, then it's very long. But in Europe, it's never a problem.
Of course, it's not your first visit here in Bulgaria, but what's the weather back in Netherlands?
The weather was not
Is
as
it similar?
cold as here. No, it's not as cold as here. It's I think about 8-9 degrees or something.
Of course, it's not your first trip here, but you have big days coming up ahead of you until Sunday, this big training camp, and of course the gala on Saturday night. Mm-hmm. A lot of Bulgarian fighting fans are eager to watch the Saturday night events. Mm-hmm. Tell me more about your personal expectations and the things that you're waiting to happen here in Varna. Of course, just let me tell you, our viewers, приятели, не забравяйте, че има все още свободни билети, ивент има мястото. Естествено, ако проследите каналите на SENSHI в различните социални мрежи, може да видите повече детайли. В Двореца на културата и спорта, естествено, зала Конгресна във Варна е дома на събитието. I was just giving some details for the event venue and also the tickets. But personal-wise, for you, what are you most eager to see, to do here in Varna?
What I like is to show a little bit of my talent, my abilities, and to teach the things I got taught or I learned throughout my career in the fight sport. And I really love to train people and to make them better and to make them see my way of training. So that's what my goal is.
What makes SENSHI so special? You've been involved with it for quite a while, in your eyes.
What it makes it special is that there are so many participants coming from, not only from Bulgaria, even from Holland. People come and from all over Europe, I think. And of course, they have the chance to train with the old famous fighters, and I think for them it's very special to do that. And and I have to say that I really like to do that, because in my hometown in Holland, called Hoorn, I'm teaching twice a week in the gym where I train. But everybody knows about what I'm doing. And of course there are sometimes some new things, but here in Varna, I see that the people really like what I'm teaching them. So why I really like to come back all the time.
And what do you see as far as, let's say, the growth of the culture of the sports, the combat sports here in Bulgaria, and all these camps that you come here and you give your experience, your know-how to some up-and-coming younger fighters? What is the growth that you see especially in Bulgaria? In this event is kind of cultural stone for these sports.
Yeah. Well, what I see is that, first of all, especially in Bulgaria, there are many talented fighters, many talented youngsters. And when I teach them something, they don't need so many time to understand and to do it right.
A lot of repetitions are not necessary.
Well, repetitions are very necessary, but I see that they have the talent to learn. And I mean, to do something in the training and to do something in a fight, it's not the same, of course. But I see that they are really eager to learn, and that's what I really like.
Do you mind telling us your first impression if you have to go back in the time to the moment that you were first invited to take part in session in Bulgaria? We were talking off camera about this moment.
Mm-hmm. Well, I did my last fight against Peter Arts in 2014, and a year later, Peter did his last fight. Half a year later, and then Peter asked me, shall we do training together? And by chance there was somebody in my hometown who asked me if I wanted to do a seminar in my hometown. And then I thought, okay, when I do it in my hometown, everybody knows me. I don't know how many people will come, but if I do it together with Peter, then I think it's 1 + 1 would become 3.
Yeah,
that's what I thought. And it was like that because there were many people came, and after that seminar, we got many requests for seminars, and we didn't know from each other, but Varna SENSHI was the most interesting for us. So while we did not know, when we went to the airport, then we saw each other, and then we saw that we would do the training together.
Oh, you're coming to Varna also?
Yeah, I came to Varna together, but yeah, exactly, like that. And so it was like, okay. So we did the training, and then we did some more, and then, well, SENSHI started to invite other fighters, other former fighters, and yeah, I think it has become a big success.
Yeah. It's a real fun story, but let's talk about the Bulgarian combat sports fans as fans, because we also tend to believe that we are very passionate fans here in Bulgaria. We love these sports, but you, as a true legend of the sports, you've been fighting all over the world. What stands out the most for you as far as the Bulgarian fans?
Well, they are really enthusiastic for the fights, and when there's a good move, then they clap, and you can really see that they love to see a good fight, and so they are very how you say that, they when it's not so good fight, you're gonna hear that too.
Yeah.
But if it's a good fight, then they really appreciate that. Yeah. That's what I like.
So they're gonna give it to the fighters, whatever it is.
Exactly, exactly. Well, in Holland is like that also, but I think in Bulgaria they may be even a little bit more passionate about that.
And how does that reflect on the fighter? I was wondering, because as a legend as yourself, being on so many different levels and different cultures, does it affect you when you're in the match, in the fight, the way that the crowd reacts? If it's more enthusiastic, sometimes it might help you, but sometimes I guess it might be not that positive.
Well, you know, if, for example, if they cheer for you, that it gives you a big boost,
of course,
to do it even better. But if they don't cheer for you, it also gives me a big boost because I hate it when they don't cheer for me.
I'm gonna make you regret it.
Exactly. No, not regret it. I'm gonna make that you're gonna cheer for me also. That's how I will think.
And of course, talking about your stay here, it's almost a week. Would be, of course, you're gonna be a referee at the gala. But I would love to talk more about your instructor gig because it's gonna be a huge camp. Tell me how it's gonna work day to day, because it's 4 days, I think, with 400 fighters, 18 different countries, a lot of legends, a lot of knowledge to be passed on the next generation. How many hours are you gonna spend on the gym, man?
A lot.
You're gonna be there all day?
Well, you start early in the morning, I think around 8 to 10 or something, and then again from 1 to 3, and then again from 7 to 8 or 7 to 9, something like that. I think it will be 3 times a week, so 3 times a day. So that will be tough for us, but will be even more tough for the participants. Of course, they like to come and they like to learn from us, but they have to work hard for it, and that's good.
And nothing comes easy, of course, without working.
Well, I never had the chance to do this when I was young. I don't know if how I would have liked it, because I'm sure that from the one trainer you learn this, and from the other trainer you learn that, and from the one trainer you like more than the other trainer. So maybe you're not as passionate for every training, but I can understand that you will always learn something else, something new, some different insights from so many different trainers. And I only hope that the participants will be able to use the things we teach them.
Talking about this very important moment when you're a young up and coming fighter trying to learn new things, I would love to talk to you about your beginning and your career. You already said that it was different back in the days, probably for you. Those kind of seminars were not that easy reachable for young.
There were no seminars like this. There were no seminars.
So, if you look back at the beginning of your career and the up and coming fighters now, do you think it's in some weird way easier to become a pro right now than of your golden era of generation in kickboxing?
Well, when I started, there were not so many fighters. Now there are. I mean, kickboxing has become like a mainstream sport, and for example, if I look at Holland, in the first years I started kickboxing, a lot of people thought kickboxing was for criminals, for example, and until K1 came, and then they started to take it more serious. Then they saw when K1 was on
proper sport,
when it was on TV. I mean, K1 started in 1993, but it was in 1999 that it came on TV in Holland for the first time, or 98, 8 or 9, and so before that, many people, especially people who don't know so much about fight sport, thought about kickboxing like it's a sport for criminals.
And how did you personally fell in love with this, especially the kickboxing sport? When did you see the moment that you're gonna tell you to yourself that's my path for sure? Because as you said, at this point of time, it was not like the industry that it is now.
No, well, basically from the beginning. I remember that I heard about kickboxing maybe when I was 13 or something. And only the word kickboxing was very dynamic for me. So when I asked my father, can I do kickboxing? And I live in a small town, like about 50 kilometers from Amsterdam. And then my father asked me, where do you have to do that? I say, in Amsterdam. He said, no, it's not going to happen. But if it's close, is it in our hometown, then you can do it. So 2 years later, somebody came to teach, and then I started kickboxing. And it appeared quite fast that I was a talent, because I understood all the things he taught me, I understood it right away. Where some of the other guys, after 1 year, they still didn't really know how to kick or how to punch, while I knew it after 3 or 4 trainings.
Okay, let's talk about this. You say you understood the game. You were a quick learner, but if we fast forward from this early beginning to being on the top of the game worldwide, being multiple champion, is there any extra secret? Is a secret in the road of this success for you? Looking retrospective in your career, there's something that is in your DNA, maybe of the big champion, or in the mentality, the way you prepare. The way you described it, it looks too easy, and I'm sure it's not at all. So, what else is in this recipe for being a true fighting legend?
Well, like I said, I had the talent. I learned. I was a quick learner. But my trainer, he waited for almost 3 years before I did my first fight, and I went after a year. After a year, I went to kickboxing events, and I saw fighters. I thought, I can beat those guys too.
You were eager to perform.
I was thinking when I see this, but my trainer, he wanted to wait. And so after a little bit more than 2.5 years, I did my first fight. And I won, I knocked my opponent out, but when I looked the videotape later, I didn't like it so much, because the way I would train in the gym and the way I fought, it was not completely the same, because I was nervous, and you could see that in the fight, but I knocked my opponent out, and that was very good. So after that...
So at this age, you were still critical of yourself,
of course,
the way you perform compared to the way you train.
Yeah, because it was not the same. Yeah. Do things in the gym, or do things in the fight, it was completely different. I was the tension made it different. But my second fight I was already far more relaxed, and I won that one too. And my third and my fourth, so I grew fast. So I went to a higher division after 4 fights. I won those fights too. Then I went to the highest division. And one of the first opponents was a big legend in Holland, Rob Kamen. I don't know, you know Rob Kamen. Well, my first fight, it was my 11th fight in total against Rob, and because it was, I got a call. I was still living with my parents, and I had a girlfriend somewhere else. So I came back from my girlfriend to my parents. And then my father said, you have to call your trainer. I was okay. I called my trainer, and he told me, you can fight tonight.
Tonight?
Against who? Yeah, tonight.
The same.
And I hadn't trained for like a few weeks, because I did a fight, and I just started training again. Maybe I've had 2 trainings, and then he said, yeah, you got to fight. Against who? Against Rob Kamen. And I got a lot of money for it. So okay, I'll do it. And
no pressure at all.
Maybe that was the advantage that I had.
You didn't have time to think.
No time to build up the pressure. Yeah. So we did a fight, and he beat me on points. So basically, that was very good, because he knocked out everybody those days. And then for me, it was already also something like, okay, I think I can do this.
That was the moment. I've talked to a lot of huge athletes in different sports, and all of them, they have this one moment. Sometimes it's not the biggest fight or the biggest trophy, but when something clicked and they knew that's going to be the success road.
Yeah, but also before that, I think 2 months before that, I had a fight in Canada. In full contact, so no low kicks, with the world champion, Jean-Yves Thériault. He had already made 50 knockouts.
Yeah.
And I did my 12th fight against him. It was basically, when you think about it, when I would have a fighter, I would probably would say to him, better don't do that. It's a big chance, and I could go to Canada, you know. It was very interesting. And it was 12 times 2 minutes, was full contact. 10 times 2 minutes, full contact. And he beat me on points, while he knocked everybody out. So it was a very good result for me. So I remember it was kind of strange now, but after the fight, I was cheering. I was, he did knock me out, so, something like that.
Young and fearless and hungry for success.
Yeah,
At this
yeah,
point.
exactly. You know, I was like, okay, come on. Now I know what I can do.
You already mentioned Peter Arts earlier, and I'm gonna throw some more names. Of course, I'm not gonna cover all of them, but when we talk about Andy Huck, Mirko, is there any particular opponent as far as rivalry goes that stands out for you in your career? Because sometimes it's very different as us as a sports fans when we look at the rivalry in the fighting sports. It's one dimension.
Yeah.
As a sports fan, but as you as a professional, probably it's a different point of view. I don't know, maybe I'm guessing, but is there a rivalry opponent who stands out on a personal level for you for whatever reason?
Yeah, well, in a negative way, I don't like to mention it, but I have to. It was Bob Sepp.
Yeah,
because when I fought Bob Sepp, I was sick, and I didn't want to do the fight, and I got much pressure from many people, from K1, from my trainer, to do this, and because he cannot fight and he cannot do this, I cannot do that, and
how would you look?
He's
If
170 kilograms, you know, and when you're not fit, then it's difficult to fight with somebody like that, and so that is my biggest frustration, because all the fighters I have beaten, they beat him, and I was basically from the top class fighters, I'm the only one who did not beat him. So that's something that
still bothers you.
Yeah, it kind of bothers me. Yeah. I mean, it's okay. I have had a great career, and I'm very satisfied with my career. But that was something that I did not like.
And what about the other point of view of these rivalries? Something stylistically, or some of the other opponents that you remember? You talk about it with friends, with the other athletes.
Yeah,
more positive one.
Yeah, well, most of them were positive. I won my first fight against Andy Hook. When was that? In '95, and then in '96 I lost. I didn't agree with the outcome, but I lost. And then in '97 I won, and then I became the K1 champion for the first time in the final. And then we fought in '99, the first round of the K1, and I won again. And so that was very. Special, because not so long later I saw him fight. No, I had to fight myself, and he came to the fight. And then we looked at each other. I had an injury, and I surrendered. And then I looked at him, and he looked at me. And that was the last time we looked at each other, because 3 weeks later he died. So that was very special. I don't know, special is the good word. Emotional.
Emotional memory, yeah.
Yeah, emotional memory. Because I get a call. Suddenly I get a call a few weeks later, and the guy told me at the end he died. I thought, what? But I saw him he was sick. And this and that, and so that was very strange to me. And still, when I think about it, I'm like, how could this happen, And there are many stories about it, that he got drugged or that he got poisoned or something. I don't know. I cannot say anything about that. But it was a big shock.
Yeah, that's a name that everybody in the sports, of course, respect for the legacy of the huge fighter, huge legend. So really, it's a tragic emotion, but it's also a moment to remember the big names in the sport. So.
For sure.
I was wondering when people who maybe have forgotten more about kickboxing and sports than I've known at all, they always are talking about the power in your low kicks, the style of you, the precision, the nickname Mr. Perfect, everything about your game and your style of fight. Tell me more. How do you develop your style of fight? It's working with coaches, of course, at the young age, but is it more of a natural process where you do it by yourself, or how do you trust people who... I'm sure that during your career there were a lot of voices around you. How did that happen for you? Because I think that the answer to this question is going to be very positive for a lot of up-and-coming fighters who are listening to you.
Yeah. Well, of course, I learned a lot from the trainings I did, from the trainers I trained with. I had some famous trainers who trained me, and the things they taught me, I tried to use in the fight, and sometimes things wouldn't work, and sometimes things would work very good. And for example, when I think about my best memory of the K1 in 1999, I figured out, together with my trainer, then I was very good with him. After that, we didn't have so good contact anymore, but what he did very good, he figured out that the chance would be big that all my opponents would be southpaw fighters, so right leg in front. And so I trained a lot of southpaw myself. I trained it for like 6 weeks, 7 weeks, and it made me crazy, but I kind of mastered it.
To switch it during fights?
First of all, switch in fights, but also understanding what they do and why they do it. And especially Andy, because Andy was very smart in kicking my rear leg. Because southpaw fighters, and I've experienced it in my very first fight when I didn't understand what was going on. But southpaw fighters have a big advantage to kick with their left to the right leg of the opponent. Most of the orthodox fighters will not defend a left low kick to the right leg.
To the right leg, yeah.
Yeah. And that happened to me in my first fight, which I didn't notice. But anyway, I knocked my opponent out. It was okay, but he hit me a few times. And if I feel good, I can still feel where he hit me. And it's more than 40 years ago.
Till this day.
Yeah, till this day. And Andy kind of did the same. And then I understood. I learned a lot from that. That was our second fight. We fought 4 times, and the second time I lost. I did not really agree with it, but he caught me a lot of times with that kick, and that made me think like, okay, I have to try to do that myself also, to stand southpaw. And for example, my last fight with Peter Arts, I thought, okay, let me check if he can do it. He can defend it.
Yeah.
So I kicked him with my left leg to his right leg, and he couldn't defend. So that is something what I also teach fighters now. Like, okay, it is also good to try to fight southpaw, to try to fight different, to see what is the advantage for you.
Yeah, and to be able to see it during the match.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course,
exactly. But it's still not so easy, because the fighters who do that, they have to realize that they have to train it constantly and not only one time.
Yeah, you have to be prepared to make it impro decision during the game.
Exactly.
I was gonna ask you about the opponent from this golden era of yours that you would like to have another fight against, but I think I can guess the answer now.
Who is that?
The one that still bothers you.
Bob Sapp?
Yeah. If there's an opponent that you would like to be to have another fight in your prime, probably.
Yeah, I mean, basically yes. On the other hand, I also feel tricked by K1
for having to fight in this fight.
Having to fight him. First of all, I'm not gonna come with excuses. I don't like excuses, but it's like I started that year. I did many fights. I did many trainings, and I have one problem. Maybe you see sometimes I'm itching.
Yeah, here.
And my skin is very sensitive. And if I train too much, or if I have too much pressure or something like that, you know, I can get problems with my skin.
Your skin, yeah.
And that time I had a big problem with my skin. I had a fever. I had my skin was how you call that?
Some kind of infected.
Yeah, it was infected.
Yeah.
It was infected, and so I shouldn't have done that fight the first time. The first time, because we fought 2 times, and the first time I had to surrender. He cut my eye, but it was a big success because it was live on TV in Japan, and then they wanted me to fight him again in the Grand Prix, and I was not good enough. Oh, sorry, I was not good enough. But they wanted me to fight, and that fight, it was in 2002, the K-1 Grand Prix. It was the most viewed event from K1, and I lost again, but he could not continue because I hit his legs a lot and this and that, and he was tired and this. So then I could come back into the event, and then I won the tournament, and it kind of bothered me because many people didn't agree with it, which I can understand, because later they changed the rules and they made reserve fights. So if somebody would pull out, then the reserve fighter would come in, and I understood that. But for me, at the one hand, I was very proud of myself because I won the K1 for 4 times then, and on the other hand, it gave me a kind of frustration because I would have liked to beat him, and that's still until today. That is some kind of black spot on my career.
I can hardly imagine finding a black spot in your career, but that's a different topic.
That's the one.
Yeah.
I mean, I've lost by knockout, and not so many times, but I've lost a few times fights by knockout, and I can accept that.
Yeah.
But that fight with Sepp, that was, I mean, the pressure from my trainer, from K1, from everybody, and also, but from, for example, my father, who he had something like, you shouldn't do that because you're not good. You're not 100%. You know, you're sick, and so those kind of things. Yeah. If I could have done it again, I wouldn't have done the fight.
Yeah. And let's switch a little bit. The same question: is there a contemporary fighter in right now nowadays that would be interesting for you? Let's put it a way to make one fight between you and someone from nowadays. Someone who's gonna be interesting for you as an opponent, stylistically, personal-wise.
Rico Verhoeven, maybe.
Why is that?
Because Rico is the best fighter in the heavyweight right now.
And it's always a challenge to fight the best, right?
Of course, and now I'm impossible that I will beat him.
Of course, prime you.
Prime me against prime Rico, that would be a very interesting fight. And I'm not going to say I would beat him, but I'm sure that we will go for it, and then that would be a very interesting fight.
It's very interesting for fans, for media, of course, all those comparisons on different eras. I don't particularly love them because sometimes they divide, not connect people who love sports. But talking about great fights that you have, so many of them, I'm sure there's a high pressure, internal, mental wise. How do you prepare for that as an athlete? I think nowadays it's a topic that we talk more about it than back in the days. But if you look back, was there a specific method for you or dealing with high pressure moments when you know that it's now or never?
No, actually, I never talked with professionals about it or something. And I don't know how I did it, but I could always make a switch in my head for a tough fight, for a tournament. I would always concentrate on the things I should have to do in the fight, and most of the time it worked for me. And it was also funny. That was really funny, especially in the tournaments. If I would win a tournament, if I would wake up in the morning and have to fight in the night, in the morning I knew already I would win. And don't tell me how, but I knew. And basically all the fights, you know. And if I would lose, then it would be like, I'm not sure, that the feeling is not completely good. And sometimes I still would win, and then sometimes I could lose also. And how does that work in my head? I don't know.
Unexplored mechanism.
Something like that.
Your mental strength, yeah.
Something like that. And it always worked for me, you know. It was always that one time that in a tournament, especially in the tournaments, you know, sometimes it was a tough tournament, like '99 was a very tough tournament. And then when I woke up, I knew I was going to win. And that's strange, you know. I was like, oh, but how can I know? Because it's very, very difficult tournament. So I wouldn't think about it again. But later, like in the morning, I would think, yeah, when I go to sleep tonight, I have the trophy here and I win. And then in the night when I came back to the hotel in the room, and then it was like that, you know. And the one time I thought, I know I'm gonna win, but something's not right. That was with Bob Sepp.
It's funny you telling me this story, because I was thinking, you see all these sports icons behind us at the studio, Michael Jordan, and there's Maradona, of course, Mike Tyson. They're goats in their own sports, the greatest of all time. And I've heard all of them say about this example that you gave me. The same thing about this kind of delusional confidence that it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You don't know how, or why, but it's gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't doubt yourself. Yeah. Were there any moments where you were doubting yourself?
Yeah, of course. There's sometimes, like I say, like the one time with Bob Sepp, I was like, something's not right, but still I'm gonna win. Something like that. You know, I was doubting.
Yeah.
But still, it worked like that.
But not giving up, of course. It's just something that's.
Oh, that's something I will never give up. You know, so you can knock me out, you can something, but I will never give up. I will never I will never be afraid to fight.
Working with young and different fighters from different backgrounds, different cultures, because as we said earlier, in Varna you're gonna have a lot of them from 18 different countries. No. Are there some elements in the way you prepare yourself, the lessons that you give them, the knowledge that are different from back in your time? Something that was working back there and it's not working right now in the sports, because it's more than quarter of a century that's from the time that you were on the top of the game. The sport has changed. What are the basic differences when preparing physically but also mentally?
I think first of all, you try to give them your thoughts, your stories, the things I did, the mistakes I made, the things I did good, and those things I try to tell them. I try to tell them like, okay, then and then and then I did this wrong. I should have done it better. I should have listened to myself. I should have listened to other people or something like that. But for me, it's always like, and that's where it starts. Like how much talent does that person has, you know? Because it starts with that. And if you don't have enough talent, you will not make it. And when I was coming up as a fighter, I felt that I had the talent because all the exercises I knew after 2 or 3 trainings, the other guys knew maybe after half a year, or maybe even they would never really know. So those kind of things. So the upcoming fighters, first of all, they have to acknowledge their talent, and then second of all, which may be more important even, they have to realize that it's not only the talent that's can bring them to the top. I mean, it's hard work. It's like being disciplined, like training, eating, sleeping, those kind of things. Which mistakes I made too. I once made a mistake to go out before the fight, and then I lost the fight. On the other hand, one time I went out because I couldn't sleep, and then I won the fight. So but basically, I wouldn't like it if fighters would do it like that.
Yeah, and if we're talking about the comparisons of different eras of the growth of the sports, and maybe we can talk not just for kickboxing, all the combat sports and the fighting sports in the last 25 years, let's say, early 2000s and now. How in your eyes, how did it evolve in the promotion game, the business side, the industry? And of course, having in mind what SENSHI is building here in Bulgaria.
Well, you know, if you look, for example, at K1, K1 was becoming so big, and at some point, even the K1 bosses, they thought everything was possible, you know, and they started to spend money on a crazy way, and then at the end K1 collapsed, and that was too bad because it wasn't necessary. If I realized that K1 and UFC started in the same year, both in '93, K1 in April, and UFC in August or September or something. They asked me actually if I wanted to do the first UFC, and
I've heard that story that you were invited to start in the UFC, in the first UFC 1, right?
UFC 1, yeah.
Why did you say no?
Bare knuckle and everything. I was like, no,
bare knuckle.
It was bare knuckle, and
no categories, no
categories. Basically, it were all heavy fighters. But it was completely different compared with what it is now, and I think it's very important to know what you're busy with, and basically that is what defined me as a fighter. And of course, you make mistakes, taking the wrong fights. Don't train properly or something, or one time in Japan I couldn't sleep before the fight. I had jet lag, and I went to a club before the fight. I won the fight, but I was thinking to myself, because it was a difficult fight, and like I should do things differently, because I just stay then just stay in your bed and then don't sleep, but don't go out or something, you know, those kind of things. And so there's so many things of which you think, okay, you learn to cope with, and you learn to do things different, and you learn to discipline, because that's the thing, you know. Sometimes I was not disciplined enough. And
that reminds me of a story, and I was very interested to hear your input on it. I don't know if you've heard it, but John Jones, the UFC legend and star, was telling this story about going out on a club or partying too much on purpose, like say a couple of days or a week before a fight. And he said that in some way deep down inside of him, that was a mechanism for him to have some kind of, let's say, not excuse, but if something goes wrong, he knows that he has another gear to be more disciplined, to in some weird way challenge his mental, which sounds crazy, but if you think about it, maybe this is some kind of a mental pressure move.
Maybe. But yeah, the thing is, if you lose a fight, then you really regret it, you know, and that's a little bit different story. I was not feeling right. I trained okay, but there were a lot of things happening to me, and then I had to fight. It was in 1999, and I had to fight with Francisco Filho, and I beat him before, and then I had to fight with him, and at some point it didn't feel good. I couldn't sleep good. Jet lag. Everything things were not good. Well, I knew he was very dangerous because he knocked out a lot of guys already, but I beat him before. He couldn't even touch me. And then we fought, and the one moment I'm standing in the ring, and the next moment I'm in the locker room asking what happened. So I missed 5 minutes or maybe more.
Complete blackout. He knocked me out. And it was in 99. It was not like now that you can see it right away, you know. I had to wait for the videotape to see
2
what
weeks
happened.
or something, what they have to send from Japan to Holland. And the funny thing is that I saw a picture in a magazine, and then my trainer, he said, "Yeah, it wasn't that bad," and this and that. Until I saw what happened, and I felt flat, so with my nose on the ground, and I had a little piece of skin was away, you know. And that was strange, like what happened, you know. So I had to wait for like 2 or 3 weeks to see what happened. And then I saw that he hit me with 3 or 4 punches, and I felt flat, like boom, like if I died or something. And yeah, I was really shocked by that. And also because my trainer said it wasn't that bad, it was very bad, you know. 5 days after the fight, because I really thought about quitting. When I had to do an interview after the fight, and they asked me what you're gonna do now, I said, I don't know, maybe I quit. And 5 days after the fight, my daughter got born. And then I was looking at my daughter, and I thought, yeah, but if I quit now, then later my daughter will think that because she was born, I quit. I was looking for some kind of excuse not to quit.
Yeah.
So I took some time off to enjoy the birth of my daughter and everything. And maybe a month later or 6 weeks later, I decided to train again. Then I got an offer for a fight. So that was April, May, 3.5 months after my loss. I did it. I won. I felt good. And then 2 months later, again, the qualification for K1. And then that I won too. And then the end of the year, I was a K1 champion. So from down there, and they made a very nice documentary about it.
Yeah.
Because they made every year, end of the year, they would make a program named the K1 Bible.
Yeah.
And in the K1 Bible, they basically showed everything that happened that year.
Yeah.
But that year it was about me, like falling down first, and then standing, having the Caesar.
I don't know the word in English.
Crown.
But I know the crown. Yeah.
And the title, So, and up till today, I do presentations about it. And now many people don't know what happened anymore, or they never saw it. So I tell that story about being champion and this and that, and then I show the fight where I get knocked out and fall on the ground like dead. And then I'm starting to tell what I had to do to change and to overcome myself and all the other problems, difficulties, problems, but difficulties, to be able to become champion.
So, do you think, are you a believer in this, that the true champs, the in sports, you learn more from defeat than you learn from winning?
Of course, you don't learn anything from winning. You enjoy winning. You don't learn from it, but you learn from losing. I learned from losing. I learned from losing.
And from all of the heights, all the K1 wins, was this the most special emotionally for you? Now looking back,
it was
not the first one, but this one.
No, this one by far.
Because a lot of athletes, they say, "Oh, it's so hard to compare. It's like choosing between my children or something like that."
For me, it's not. For me, it's clear that as for fighting, and that was the best moment for me, 1999. And like I say, when people ask me sometimes to do speeches or something, I will always talk about that. I will show the fights. And the funny thing is, some people have seen them, but they forgot about it, and then they see it again, and then they understand my story.
Yeah,
because
it's a beautiful story, man. And
and especially because if people only see it, they don't know anything about it.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, but if I tell them what happened,
the whole context and step by
exactly.
Beautiful, man. And of course, you've been in a lot of places. You fought in different continents, different cultures, from America to Japan to Europe, all around the world. I have some, let's call them rapid fire questions. Do you have a favorite place that you have fought, as far as a country or the culture of the fans, or maybe the organization?
I think Japan.
Japan is
Japan is it's number one. But Japan is number one. But I'm happy that I also fought in Australia once.
In Australia?
I did one in 2001. I won a tournament in Australia.
If you have to put a Mount Rushmore of in the fighting sports in general, not just kickboxing, let's say combat sports also, who are the 4 names that you choose? All time, any era,
in combat sport, Muhammad Ali, Jack Johnson, Muhammad Ali. Who else? Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson, my big hero.
That's your inspiration?
No, because when I started to study him, I already quit fighting.
Yeah.
But I mean, the things he had to overcome to, being in a very racial America 100 years ago. It's incredible.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why he is my big example. Especially Jack Johnson, they could kill him for fighting, you know, and in being like black in white America. And because those days when he fought, it's like 100,000 people came to watch, and then 95,000 people want you to die or to lose or something, and then he smiles at them, and then it's incredible.
So maybe I already know the answer of your next question, but I have it. If you could have a dinner with with anyone in the fighting game, any era, dead or alive, who would it be? Are the same names coming up again?
Yeah.
Jack Johnson and maybe
Sugar Ray Leonard.
Oh.
Mike Tyson. I think those two also.
It's going to be quite an interesting
George
dinner
Foreman.
table.
Yeah.
A lot of
there
stories.
Are so many, you know. And about Tyson, I know he wanted to come once to an event, but then at the end he didn't come. No, and something else is that there was Bob Sapp, I think. Bob Sapp challenged him to fight.
Yeah.
And then later Mike Tyson said, yeah, Bob Sapp is not interesting. I would rather fight with Jerome Lebena or Ernesto Huст. So that was very nice.
It was nice to hear that, I guess.
Yeah.
So you have a story with Mike, and before we put the camera, you told me a story about MJ.
He came to see the fight. I was not that good, my fight in my opinion, but at some point he wanted to meet me. But so at the end of the event, he wanted to come to me, but everybody came to him to make pictures and autographs and those kind of things, and then he left. So because they told me, oh, Michael Jordan is coming. You should just wait in the dressing room. He's coming, but then he didn't come because when he tried to come, that everybody came at him and then he left.
He's always like a rock star whenever he goes. So.
Of course, I understand that, but that's I would have liked to. But I like the fact that he watched my fight, and I saw him also. It was clear. So at some point, they pictured him, and then they pictured me. And so it's interesting to know that he saw my fight once.
Do you love other sports than fighting sports? And do you follow something specific? Do you have time to be a fan of another game?
I like football because I have done it together, kickboxing and football. But when I like kickboxing more because it's individual sport. And with the football, I started as an attacker. I was quite okay. And then suddenly...
Left foot, right foot?
Right foot, basically. No, left foot is nothing. Then I came into the defense. I became a defender. And I liked that too because there was still something offensive in me. So sometimes as a defender, especially with the corners or something, I would go to the front and I could score like 10 or 12 goals a season or something as a defender. But then the last year, the coach said, I have no room for you in the defense, but you can try to be the striker again.
Put you back up front.
But that was very difficult, and it was a higher level. And
what age were you at this point?
Sorry? 16.
About 16, okay.
16. And so every time that things went wrong, then he took me out of the game. So then I thought, no, I'm going to do kickboxing, because in kickboxing I rely on myself. I have to do it for everything myself and not in a team. Of course you have a team in kickboxing, but when you fight, you do it by yourself.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's how I chose to be a kickboxer.
Your favorite teams to watch or to support?
In Holland, I'm a Feyenoord fan.
You're a Feyenoord fan.
Yeah, but I'm not against the other because sometimes they like to fight with each other.
Yeah.
It's a crazy way. I hate that.
Yeah, Feyenoord had a good result yesterday.
They had good result.
Against Milan. Yeah.
Yeah, they did quite good. So I'm happy about that.
I think being a football fan, probably you know this guy?
Stoichkov.
You remember him?
I remember him. He was very good. He played in Inter now.
A little bit in Parma in Italy, but the huge success were in Barcelona.
Barcelona,
the dream team,
Barcelona.
The 90s,
Yeah. That's also interesting. I knew Johan Cruyff.
You knew Johan Cruyff?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Because I was at the end of my career, I said I wanted to do something with some study with sports or something. And then somebody came to me. He said, "There is Johan Cruyff started some kind of institute for especially for former athletes, but basically everybody who likes the sport." So I did international sports management at the Johan Cruyff Institute in Amsterdam. So I met Johan a few times, and that was also very sad basically, because then he became sick.
Yeah.
And then when the last time I saw him, he was like, "Come on, you don't think that cancer can beat me, you know?" And he said it so determinedly that I thought, okay,
he's gonna win this fight.
He's gonna win this fight, but at the end he lost anyway. But that was very interesting.
The greatest of all time, probably.
One of the greatest, for sure. The greatest in Holland, for sure.
For sure, yeah.
So I went to Barcelona one time and then I met Guardiola and some more players. So that was very interesting.
What's the one thing that people don't know about Ernesto Huст outside of fighting?
Let me see.
And
What secret shall I tell? I like to do. I'm not that good anymore. I have to do it more, but I like to play chess.
Oh,
yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, I learned it when I was quite young, and I haven't done it I didn't do it for a while, and lately, I'm starting to play chess again.
A lot of fighters love playing chess.
Is that so?
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of people I know, though.
Well,
not at your level, though, but
fighting is some kind of a chess game if you play it right. Yeah. I think.
I guess you've watched this chess boxing experiment.
Oh, I saw it. Yeah, I saw it. I saw it. Yeah,
a strange thing.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. Strange.
I'm really privileged to have this conversation with you, and I'll finish the interview because I know that you have to make the trip from here to Varna, and you have a lot of things to do in the next couple of days. So I'm really appreciative of the time that you gave us. But I would love to finish with a couple words from you to the Bulgarian fighting sports fans who watch us in this podcast.
I'm very happy to be back in Varna, and I'm also very happy to show and teach my knowledge about fighting, about what to do in the fight, and I hope you will keep on learning from me. I have to say I'm very happy and I'm very proud that many times I see that you guys want to train with me, and I'm sure I'm still able to teach you a lot. So keep on coming and keep on training with me, and I'm sure it will make you better.
Thank you so much, man. В добавка, приятели, да ви подсетя, че в крайна сметка това не е първото идване, няма да бъде и последното. Сигурен съм на една истинска легенда на бойните спорта в България. Това правим SportCast, гледаме да ви занадваме приятно с различни гледни точки, понякога по-фенски, понякога колеги журналисти, но винаги когато можем да си позволим и намерим на такова ниво атлет, спортист и ментор, защото той остава наследството си в спорта повече вече като инструктор, като ментор, като треньор. Няма как да пропуснем тази възможност, така че това е този епизод. Още едно ще ви казвам, ако го гледате преди 22 събота, защото много интересни истории имаше в него и ще бъде актуален, сигурен съм, дълго време. Ако го гледате преди 22 и имате път към Варна или сте от Варна, задължително погледнете в ивент им дали са останали билети за SENSHI 25. Последвайте и каналите, както на SportCast, естествено и на тези на SENSHI в различните социални мрежи, защото там календара е наситен, ще има още доста събития през годината, така само откриваме 25-та, представете си как ще завърши. Така че това от нас за този епизод. Ернесто, it was a pleasure for me. Thank you so much for your time. Good luck and have a nice day here in Varna again.
You're very welcome. And there's one more thing. I can speak six languages.
Six?
But Bulgarian is not one of them, and it's very difficult. And I'm still thinking about I should try to learn to speak Bulgarian, but I might try it. Well, I speak Dutch, I speak English, German, French, Surinamese, my parents' home country, and Japanese for 65%.
So next one on the list, Bulgarian. We can fix you up with tutors.
Well, I would like to. I'm gonna check internet, what kind of classes there are, lectures there are.
There are some interesting choices.
Yeah,
I'm gonna send you some suggestions if you.
I would. Yeah, I'm really interested.
You've been here a lot of times.
Exactly.
Do you remember how many times you've been in Bulgaria?
20 or something.
More than 20.
Maybe more.
Oh,
maybe more. Yeah.
It's gonna become your second home. You know, you've been here in the summer.
Yeah, I like
the seaside.
Yeah. It's very nice.
Thank you, man. True legend, guys. SportCast, това е. Затваряме този епизод, защото го чака път за Варна. Ернесто с страхотно участие в SportCast. Надявам се, че ви бъде интересно. Очаквайте още изненади от нас и гледайте с интерес SENSHI. Ще бъде предавани по телевизия и онлайн доста съдържание оттам. Очаквайте. До скоро от мен.